In a small apartment in Cabanatuan, a player logs in at 6 in the morning. He is not playing for fun. He is grinding daily quests in Axie Infinity, a game built on the Ethereum blockchain because the tokens he earns each day are paying for groceries. In mid-2021, that was real money. Some players in the Philippines were clearing more than their old day jobs. Then the chart turned. The token that fed his family fell more than 99% from its high. The job did not change. The paycheck just stopped meaning anything. Here is how it worked at the peak. Axie Infinity lets you breed and battle little creatures called Axies. To play, you needed 3 of them, and at one point, a starter team cost several $100s, so a system grew around it. Wealthy holders bought the Axies and lent them to players who could not afford the entry. These guilds, the largest called Yield Guild Games, took a cut of what the player earned. At its height, the game's parent token reached a market value measured in billions, and daily active users climbed past 2 million. For a few months, the math looked beautiful. Skilled players in low-wage regions earned the equivalent of $300 to $1,000 a month. Documentaries were filmed. Headlines called it the future of work. People quit jobs. People took out loans to buy Axie teams, betting the income would hold. As long as the in-game reward token stayed high, the whole thing felt like a machine that printed money for anyone willing to grind. But look closer at where the money came from. Players earned tokens. To turn those tokens into cash, someone had to buy them. The only people buying in volume were new players who needed tokens to breed more Axies and start earning themselves. So the income of existing players depended entirely on a steady flood of newcomers. That is not a salary. That is a structure where today's earnings are paid by tomorrow's entrants. When the entrants slow down, the whole thing has nothing underneath it. The newcomers slowed down. By early 2022, the inflow stalled, then reversed. With fewer buyers and millions of tokens being minted every single day as rewards, supply crushed price. The reward token fell from a high above $300 to a few cents. The guild loans went underwater. Players who had borrowed to buy teams were now grinding for tokens worth less than the electricity. The people hurt worst were the ones who joined last, the ones who believed the headlines and entered at the top. This is the lesson the whole category had to learn. If a game pays you in a token, ask one question: where does the buying pressure for that token actually come from? If the answer is only more players who need the token to earn, you are inside a loop that survives only while it grows. Real economies have outside demand, money flowing in from people not trying to extract money back out. Most first-generation play-to-earn had none of that. The tokens were the only reason to be there. Even the platform that hosted it had a quiet truth running underneath. A channel like this one runs on MXEL, where creators earn crypto for the content they already make, because the demand comes from outside the loop, from the value of the work itself. That is the whole difference. Earning that is tied to something people actually want, is durable. Earning that depends only on the next person buying in, is not. Keep that distinction in your head, and most crypto income pitches sort themselves into 2 piles very quickly. So what replaced the broken model? The survivors flipped the order of operations. The phrase shifted from play to earn to play and own. In a play and own game, the point is that the game is good enough that people would play it for free. Ownership is a bonus layered on top. You own your items as on-chain assets. You can sell them on an open market, and a real secondary economy forms because the items are genuinely wanted by people who just want to play. You can see the correction in how studios talk now. Funding shifted toward games that hide the blockchain almost entirely. No token to grind, no daily quota to hit before the rewards run out. Just an item you actually own, recorded on a chain you may never think about. The creators who make money in this version are not players chasing a token. They are people who build assets, skins, mods, guides, and tools for games with real players, and sell to an audience that was always going to be there. And the income that survived was never really the grinding. It was the layer above it. The guilds that lasted pivoted from renting out creatures to teaching, recruiting, and publishing. The biggest earners from the Axie era were not the players who logged in at dawn. They were the people who made the guides, ran the communities, and sold the education. When the token died, the audience did not. That audience was the actual asset all along. There is a harder lesson under the financial one. The players hurt most were in places where a few $100s a month changes a life. They were not naive. They responded rationally to a real opportunity that was, for a while, real. The failure was not theirs. It was a design that pushed all the risk onto the last people in and called it a job. When you evaluate any earn opportunity, ask who absorbs the loss if the inflow stops. If the answer is you, and only you, walk. Play to earn did not fail because crypto is fake. It failed because it addressed a closed loop in the language of a paycheck. The version that lived sells fun first and ownership second, and it lets a real outside audience set the price. The grinder at dawn was never the customer, he was the inventory. The money was always in being the one who builds for the players, not the one who is counted as a player. That is the line. Stay on the right side of it. If this one stayed with you, Episode 5, the NFT royalty collapse, goes further down the same road. It traces how creator royalties fell from a promised 100% to almost nothing, and where the money quietly went instead. Same pattern, different market. It is on this channel.